Close your eyes and picture ancient Egypt. What do you see? Towering pyramids, right? Majestic pharaohs and camels. Many people imagine these desert animals alongside ancient Egyptians. But here's a surprise. Camels weren't common in Egypt until much later. The ancient Egyptians actually lived alongside a menagerie of far wilder creatures. Lions prowled the savannas. Hippos wallowed in the Nile. Crocodiles lurked in the reeds. Ancient Egypt wasn't just about pyramids and pharaohs. It was a land teeming with wildlife, a place where humans and animals lived in a delicate balance. To understand ancient Egypt's animals, we must first understand the Nile. This mighty river was the lifeblood of Egypt, transforming arid desert into fertile land. But Egypt wasn't just one environment. Along the Nile's banks were lush marshes, home to fish, birds, and crocodiles. Further out, savannas stretched across the land where lions and antelopes roamed. Even the harsh desert wasn't empty. Gazelles and foxes sought out scarce vegetation, while vultures soared overhead. Ancient Egypt was a tapestry of life, woven together by the Nile. Sadly, many of the animals that once thrived in ancient Egypt are now gone. The North African elephant, a majestic creature that even pharaohs hunted, is extinct. Deforestation, habitat loss, and hunting have taken their toll. The lions that once roared in the savannas are now confined to a small population in India. The story of these lost animals is a reminder of the impact humans have on the natural world. It's a stark reminder that we must protect the wildlife we still have. At the top of ancient Egypt's food chain were its predators. Barbary lions, with their thick manes, were symbols of strength and power, often depicted in hieroglyphs and statues. They hunted gazelles and antelope across the savannas. Leopards, masters of stealth, stalked their prey in the woodlands, while cheetahs used their incredible speed to chase down gazelles. Hyenas, often misunderstood, were efficient scavengers, keeping the ecosystem clean. These predators weren't just animals to the ancient Egyptians. They were incorporated into their mythology, religion, and even their daily lives. No account of ancient Egypt's wildlife would be complete without mentioning its most iconic inhabitants, the mighty hippopotamus. These massive creatures, with their barrel-shaped bodies and enormous jaws, were once a common sight along the lush banks of the Nile. Hippos spent their days submerged in the cool river waters, emerging at dusk to graze on the abundant grasses that lined the floodplains. Their presence was both awe-inspiring and intimidating, as they could be surprisingly aggressive, especially when protecting their young or defending their territory from intruders. Ancient Egyptians observed these behaviors closely, and hippos became symbols of both fertility and chaos in their mythology. The goddess Taweret, for example, was depicted as a hippopotamus, embodying protection for mothers and children. Yet the danger hippos posed to boats and fishermen was very real, and their unpredictable nature made them both respected and feared by those who lived along the river. And then, of course, there was the formidable Nile crocodile. These ancient reptiles, some growing over 16 feet long, were the undisputed apex predators of the river. With their armored scales and powerful jaws, crocodiles could remain almost invisible beneath the water's surface, waiting patiently for the perfect moment to strike. The Nile, teeming with fish and other prey, provided an ideal environment for these giants to thrive. Crocodiles inspired both terror and reverence among the ancient Egyptians, who saw them as embodiments of the unpredictable and sometimes violent forces of nature. The god Sobek, often depicted with the head of a crocodile, was worshipped as a deity of strength, fertility, and protection, especially for those who depended on the river for their livelihoods. Temples were built in his honor, and crocodiles were even mummified as sacred animals. Together, hippos and crocodiles shaped the daily lives, beliefs, and art of ancient Egypt, reminding us that the Nile was not just a source of life, but also a realm of powerful and mysterious creatures. When we think of ancient Egypt, our minds often conjure images of powerful lions prowling the riverbanks, mighty elephants wandering the savannas, and fearsome crocodiles lurking in the waters of the Nile. These iconic animals have become symbols of the wild and untamed side of Egypt's ancient world, their presence immortalized in art, legend, and the collective imagination. But the animal kingdom of ancient Egypt was far more diverse and fascinating than these famous creatures alone. Beyond the well-known predators and giants, a wealth of other creatures played vital roles in the daily lives, beliefs, and survival of the people who lived along the Nile. From the smallest insects to the largest mammals, each animal contributed to the complex tapestry of Egyptian civilization, shaping its culture, economy, and even its spiritual world. Take the aurochs, for example. These massive wild cattle once roamed the Egyptian plains in great herds. Revered for their strength and size, aurochs were hunted by ancient Egyptians for their meat, which provided essential nourishment, and for their impressive horns, which were used in rituals and as tools. Their presence in the wild was both a challenge and a resource for early hunters, who depicted these animals in cave paintings and temple carvings. Gazelles and antelopes, graceful and swift, grazed the lush grasslands and open savannas near the Nile. These elegant creatures were not only a vital food source for both humans and predators, but they also inspired Egyptian art and mythology. Their agility and beauty were admired, and their images can be found in tomb paintings, symbolizing abundance and the harmony of nature. The skies above ancient Egypt were alive with birds of every kind. Majestic eagles soared high above the river, their keen eyes searching for prey, while colorful kingfishers darted along the water's edge. Flocks of migratory birds filled the air, marking the changing seasons and providing a spectacle that was both beautiful and meaningful to the people below. The songs of these birds created a constant, soothing backdrop to daily life in villages and cities alike. Their calls echoed through the papyrus marshes and reed beds, signaling dawn and dusk, and reminding Egyptians of the natural rhythms that governed their world. Among the reeds and sands, snakes slithered silently, some venomous, others harmless. These mysterious creatures were both feared and respected, as their presence could mean danger or protection depending on the species and the circumstances. The cobra in particular held a special place in the hearts and minds of the ancient Egyptians. With its hood raised in warning, the cobra became a powerful symbol, appearing in countless works of art and religious iconography. Worn on the crowns of pharaohs and carved into temple walls, the cobra represented royalty, divine authority, and the protective power of the gods. A reminder that in ancient Egypt, every creature, great or small, had its own unique place in the story of civilization. Now let's address those camels. While it's true they weren't a common sight in early ancient Egypt, they were introduced later as pack animals and revolutionized trade and travel across the desert. And what about cats? These beloved companions hold a special place in Egyptian history. Originally from Africa, cats were domesticated in ancient Egypt and quickly rose to prominence. Revered for their hunting skills and grace, cats were even worshipped as deities, with the goddess Bastet often depicted as a woman with a cat's head. From the fearsome lions that once roamed the deserts and grasslands of ancient Egypt, to the powerful images of these majestic beasts carved into the very stones of temples, animals have always played a central role in the story of this remarkable civilization. Lions in particular were not just feared predators, they were symbols of strength, royalty, and protection, often associated with the pharaohs themselves. Their images adorned the entrances to temples and palaces, serving as guardians and reminders of the power of the rulers within. In stark contrast to the wild and untamed lion, the domesticated cat held a place of deep reverence in Egyptian society. Cats were cherished companions, protectors of homes and granaries, and even considered magical beings. The ancient Egyptians believed that cats possessed special powers to ward off evil spirits and disease, and their likenesses were often immortalized in statues and paintings. To harm a cat was unthinkable, and many families mourned their passing as they would a beloved family member. Beyond their symbolic and spiritual significance, animals were also essential to daily life. They provided food, clothing, and labor. Fish and birds from the Nile, cattle and goats from the fields, all contributed to the sustenance and prosperity of the people. Scenes of hunting, fishing, and animal husbandry are found throughout Egyptian art, reflecting the importance of these creatures in the everyday lives of both commoners and royalty. Animals also inspired countless myths and legends, The Egyptians saw the divine in the natural world, and many of their gods and goddesses took on animal forms or possessed animal attributes. The jackal-headed Anubis, the falcon-headed Horus, and the cow goddess Hathor are just a few examples of how animals were woven into the spiritual fabric of Egypt. These mythological beings were believed to guide, protect, and judge the souls of the living and the dead. Rituals and ceremonies often featured animals as sacred participants or offerings. Priests cared for temple animals with great devotion, believing that their well-being was directly linked to the favor of the gods. Mummified animals, especially cats, ibises, and crocodiles, have been discovered in tombs and temples, signifying their role as intermediaries between the human and divine realms. Animals were more than just creatures to the ancient Egyptians. They were companions, protectors, and symbols of the mysteries of life and death. The close relationship between people and animals is evident in the care shown to pets, the respect given to working animals, and the reverence for those considered sacred. In art and daily life, animals were ever present. Murals and carvings depict scenes of daily activities, herding cattle, tending flocks, and playing with pets, showing how deeply animals were integrated into the rhythms of Egyptian existence. Their images served as reminders of the interconnectedness of all living things. Even in death, animals played a vital role. Funerary art is rich with animal symbols, representing protection, guidance, and the hope for rebirth in the afterlife. The presence of animals in tombs and burial sites speaks to the belief that they could accompany and safeguard souls on their journey beyond this world. Their presence can be seen everywhere, from the grand monuments that have stood for millennia to the smallest amulets worn for luck and protection. Animal imagery is a constant thread running through the tapestry of Egyptian culture. The intricate hieroglyphs that adorn temple walls are filled with animal figures, each one carrying its own meaning and significance. These symbols help tell the stories of gods, kings, and the natural world, preserving the wisdom and beliefs of the Egyptians for generations to come. Majestic statues of sphinxes and animal-headed gods stand guard over tombs and sacred spaces, embodying the power and mystery of the animal kingdom. These guardians were believed to protect the resting places of pharaohs and ensure their safe passage to the afterlife. In every corner of ancient Egypt, from the bustling cities along the Nile to the silent tombs in the desert, the bond between humans and animals is clear. This profound connection shaped not only their daily lives, but also their understanding of the universe and their place within it. Imagine you could bring back one animal from ancient Egypt. Would it be the majestic North African elephant, the fierce Barbary lion, or perhaps a creature less known but no less fascinating? Think about the animal's role in Egyptian society, its importance in their ecosystem, and what its return could teach us about the past and the future. What would you choose and why?